Hi, I'm Matt with Truth at Perrysburg. I'm excited for you to watch the following presentation of our lifting seminar that we put together in person for our members. The reason that we put this presentation together is because one of the methods that we coach our members with is in large group sessions. So we have up to 25 people in a session, and we don't always have a lot of one-on-one time with members in those sessions. So even though we can help adjust form, it's hard for us to teach the fundamentals for somebody coming in off the street that may have never seen these movements or performed them before. So we brought people in on a Saturday, we broke things down, we were here for about 90 minutes, and we wanted to cut that and package that professionally for you to learn the fundamentals of a few different movements. So the following videos, you're going to see some different variations in flat presses, in deadlifts, as well as in squats. So why is this important? Well, in our everyday life, we're doing functional movements. So maybe you're a parent and you have children, or maybe you're a grandparent and you have grandchildren, or maybe you have a job that requires some level of physical labor. It's important that you know that you have the ability to move the things that you need to move, or do the things that you need or that you want to do. It enhances our quality of life as we build strength. It also gives you confidence that you can do those things on a day-to-day basis. In addition to building lean muscle mass and helping burn body fat and transforming the look and the shape of your body, these things will help improve the quality of life on a day-to-day basis. So take some time, break down these videos, and we'll see you soon.
Hey guys, I'm Jake. So I'm gonna walk you through a barbell flat bench press as well as a dumbbell flat bench press here today. So what muscles are we targeting with the bench press, right? So we've got chest as our primary muscle, and then our secondary, we're gonna be working our triceps as well as our shoulders. And so the first thing you wanna do right when you walk up to the bench is make sure that the bar is at a good height for you, right? So you don't wanna have to dinosaur arm it, but you also don't wanna have to get off the bench and fully extend to get that bar up. So make sure that that's at eye level. When I'm laying on the bench, I wanna make sure I'm directly underneath it with my eyes to start. The grip width, that's really subjective, that's up to you guys. If you wanna go a little bit more narrow, you'll work more of your triceps. If you wanna go wider, you're gonna work more of your chest. And then head and foot placement, make sure that your head is rested on the bench the whole way through. You don't wanna crank your neck. And then foot placement, make sure your feet are completely on the bench, a little bit closer as well, brought in, so you can really generate power from your lower body. And then breathing, make sure that you breathe in right when you unrack, and then as you come down and you press out, you're gonna exhale as you press out. Elbows, make sure that you drop those for 45 degrees. If you do an exercise with me real quick, raise your arm up. You can't get much tension with your in your chest right here. If you drop that elbow, you can really start to feel that squeeze in your chest. So make sure you drop those elbows when you press to really generate the power. And then make sure you arch your back and your chest is out. Not too much arch in your back, but just enough to have your shoulders back and your chest out. And then range of motion. So make sure you get all the way down to your chest and then press all the way up, extend, and fully lock out with your elbows. Spotting, make sure that you really are safe with that. You wanna pull straight up if somebody's starting to struggle, and then pull back towards you. Make sure it hits the stops, and then drop it for a safe spot there. And then hand grip, you know, I recommend that you wrap your thumbs around and really secure that bar. Some people like to go monkey grip. That's up to you guys. Just make sure that you're safe. And then for the dumbbell, so the dumbbell press, really all the same cues there. The only two things, dismount, make sure that you're safe with the dismount, right? So when you're done with your set, make sure that you follow the path of your arm. So we're gonna toss those down to the ground. Don't try to rotate your shoulder inward or outward. Make sure you just toss those down safely and get rid of the weight. And then wrist position with the dumbbell. So make sure that you're not in tight. Make sure this is in line with your elbow. So instead of pressing here, you wanna have that slightly rotated. So all of this is in line, and then you're gonna press out with those dumbbells. So the first things first, we want to make sure that this bar is at a good height for him. You don't want to have to dinosaur arm it off of the rack, and you also don't want to be fully extended when you remove that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we want to make sure that his feet are firmly planted and they're in tight towards the bench to generate power from his lower body. And then next, we're going to have him make sure that he's got a good grip. So grip is really subjective based on whatever's comfortable for you. The closer you go in, let's say we put our thumbs here on this first groove line, that's gonna be more of your triceps, a little bit less of your chest. If you go a little bit wider, that's gonna recruit more of your chest. So as Matt unracks it here, he makes sure that first his eyes are directly underneath the bar. He's gonna go ahead and unrack it. So notice that he's got his back arched here. He wants to make sure that he keeps his chest out and his lats tight, so everything's locked in. He's got his elbows in at 45 degrees when he does that press, so go ahead and complete a press for me, Matt. So the bar path, straight up, straight down. He's breathing in as he's coming down. He's exhaling as he's pressing out. Great elbow placement. And then for spotters, when you guys are gonna be spotting fellow members here, we wanna make sure that we're over top here and we're gonna help him. So let's say Matt starts to struggle at the bottom of his movement here and he can't get that bar up. We're gonna wanna help him finish that press, and then we're gonna wanna bring it in, make sure that it hits the railings first, and then we're gonna let it fall. We're gonna lightly drop it onto the latches here. So first things first, we wanna make sure that we can get those weights up safely. So we're gonna start with them on their legs, just like Matt has right here. He's gonna kick these up, so we're secure underneath. We got our elbow right underneath the dumbbell there. So notice his feet. He's got them firmly planted, bringing them into the bench to make sure that he can generate power from his legs. Notice his elbow placement. He's got them dropped at about 45 degrees. You wanna make sure that you're not too high because you can really engage your chest if you drop those elbows. So Matt, go ahead and complete a press. As you can see, the dumbbell goes straight up, straight down. He's gonna breathe in as he's coming down, and he's gonna exhale as he presses up. Notice his lower back. He's got some space between his lower back and the bench. You wanna have your chest out the whole time, just to make sure you're fully engaging your chest. Awesome, looks great. He's keeping his wrist slightly at an angle. He wants to make sure that lines up with everything else. You'll wanna force your wrist forward. Looks great. So as he dismounts, notice he brings them to his knees safely, and then he kind of deadlifts them down just to make sure that you don't hurt your lower back.
Hey guys, this is Erin. We're gonna go over the deadlift today. We'll go over barbell deadlifts, trap bar deadlifts, deadlifts with dumbbells, and then the Romanian deadlift. The deadlift works a ton of muscles called your posterior chain. So all the muscles along the back side of your body, your lower back, glutes, hamstrings, for example. So deadlift is a compound movement. Let's try to break it into two parts here. So using your knee as your visual cue of when you're going to switch between those two parts. So you'll come right up to the bar. You wanna be able to see the laces of your shoes on the other side of the bar. The bar's right up against your shins there. Feet are hip distance apart, and you're going to come down to the bar and pull the slack out of it. So as soon as I pull that slack out of that bar, it's gonna force my shoulder blades to pinch together and come down, and I'm going to contract my lats here, okay? So pulling the slack out of that bar, having my upper back nice and tight, this is my starting point here. You wanna have your chest a little high and your shins perpendicular to the ground. Okay, so let's use Matt here as an example of our deadlifter today. He's going to approach the bar, shins up nice and tight. He can see his toes and his laces over the bar. He'll bend down to grab that bar, making sure his neck is in line with his spine. As soon as he pulls that slack out of the bar, his shoulder blades are pinched and down and his lats are contracted. So from here, he is ready to lift that bar. That first initial lift that we talked about from the floor to the knees is think of it as a reverse leg press. So pressing through your feet to get there. As soon as he hits the knees, he starts using his hips. Full hip extension at the top. Great, and when we put it all together in a fluid motion, we have a deadlift. Nice work. Matt's gonna get himself placed inside that trap bar, and obviously he has no other option than a neutral grip with this one. This trap bar is gonna really help with that first part of the movement that we talked about with the barbell deadlift, of that leg lift up, because there's really no other option to get this bar up. So really, it's a no-fail kind of thing. You just lift that bar up off the floor and set it right back down. Cool, full hip extension in. You notice his back is completely flat. Hips are extending through. Cool. Next we have the dumbbell deadlift. So those dumbbells are a lot closer to the ground than a barbell that has weights on it. So it's gonna take a lot more range of motion for Matt to get down to the ground there, more time under tension for your hamstrings. You're gonna place yourself the same way you would, feet hip distance apart, holding those dumbbells down at an angle, kind of bringing them to the front to the side part of your body, and just performing that deadlift. Next we have the Romanian deadlift. So remember, this one is just a hip hinge movement. I like to start from the top and go top to bottom with these. So you can stand all the way up. He's gonna make sure his shoulder blades are nice and rolled back, his upper back is tight. Lats are still contracted. From here, he's gonna take that barbell straight down his body with a slight bend in the knee until he feels a pull in his hamstrings, and then he stands right back up. So just that hips back, and then hips coming forward. So like I talked about with that hip hinge, if he had a tennis ball right here, it is hip joint. It's just moving perfectly horizontally as he hinges forward and backward.
I'm Stephanie and this is Kaden, and today we are going to go through squats. They are a classic movement that we all perform, and it takes a lot of different joints and coordinating muscles to make the squat happen. So we want to make sure that we focus on a couple different cues that give us a good range of movement that will allow consistency and progressing in our strength.
So we're gonna take you guys through 3 different squats today, and those squats are gonna have very similar principles and movements behind them. First of which is going to be a barbell back squat, which you see right here. Second of which is going to be a dumbbell front squat, which has a little different cues for it. And thirdly is it gonna be a goblet squat, which we'll see.
Kaden's gonna show us a back squat. We're gonna walk through some of the things to think about when you are in your back squat. The first is going to be the setup. So go ahead and tuck yourself underneath the bar. It's gonna set it right here on this shelf. You don't want it too high because you're gonna put pressure on your neck, and you don't also want your weight to tip you forward. So we're gonna set it right here. Elbows are underneath the bar, and he's going to tighten those grips, tighten the upper back and the shoulder blades, and go ahead and stand right up, back away from the rack. He's going to keep his gaze facing forward. He doesn't want his eyes to wander. That could throw him off balance. We also want to make sure that when he starts, he's going to breathe in, and then on the exhale, instead of letting out the air, he's gonna bear down in his rib cage and give his core some nice stiffness, which is gonna protect his spine. Then we're gonna break at the hips and the knees at the same time. So go ahead and show us what that looks like. And now accelerate up, pushing through the ground, and exhale on your way up. Go ahead and start again. And up. Now, if you're losing your balance or you start to fatigue, too many reps, too heavy of weight, go back to thinking about your feet. That would be the main point I would always go back to. You want your heels, your big toe, your pinky toe, always grounded in. Don't lean too far forward or too far back, excuse me. And you want your weight to be centered in the middle of your foot. So go ahead and go one more time. Accelerate hard, push through the ground, and up. Thank you.
So now we're moving on to the dumbbell front squat, and Stephanie's gonna walk you through, or gonna demo that for us while I walk you through. So first thing we're gonna do is pick up our dumbbells, and you'll notice there's 2 points on your shoulders that almost have little divots that you can rest them in. That'll keep the weight in line with your center of balance, so it doesn't throw you off balance when you're doing the squat. And like I said before, we're gonna follow very similar cues to what we did during the back squat. What's gonna be different about the front squat is we're gonna want our elbows to be forward and up so we don't lose our balance while we're going down. We don't want to dip forward, we wanna stay upright and strong. So we're gonna keep those feet about shoulder width, point those toes out 15 to 20 degrees, knees are gonna go to the outside, and glutes are gonna go back. So we're gonna follow that motion, so definitely you can demo. And we're gonna reach the bottom of that squat, and then drive up, accelerating our feet to the floor, and driving up.
Kaden's going to show us a goblet squat. This can be done with a dumbbell or it can be done with a kettlebell. It can be very similar for both. So we're gonna use a dumbbell in this case. He's going to pick it up at the very top. Palms are gonna face in. He's gonna hug that dumbbell into his chest so it almost becomes like a part of his body. The elbows are gonna be pointed towards the floor. His gaze is going to be straight ahead. His chin is also going to maintain level. He's not, as he's going down, going to raise his chin up. He's going to break at the hips and the knees at the same time. Go ahead. And then he's going to accelerate, push through the floor, and come back up. He wants even weight between his pinky toe, his big toe, and his heel again. Go. And because as he's coming up, once he gets to here, his quads actually don't have to do as much work because he has momentum coming all the way up. That's why your feet are so important.
Thanks so much for taking the time to watch these videos. I really hope that you had some key takeaways, and as I stated earlier, the most important thing to do now is to take action. Take the things that you learned and apply it to your own training so that it can transfer over to an improved quality of life and overall confidence. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us for any reason, you can email me directly at matt@truthofperrysburg.com. I'll see you soon.